왔어.
Well, that's what I said. That's what. This is on personal, and like Q we have to play with these like doom bombs. Oh wait, and then we'll get given like the last. by the phone screen. Sort of just.
That's what I've looked at. I'm just saying there's places there that I'm looking at my face. Hang on. I'm not sure what. Really close together.
I just see you meet up with her.
Well, I'm just going to say I would have to weigh her to make sure she's under our weight limit, if that's alright.
Weight limit?
7 stone.
She's 42 kilograms. What's that?
I'd have to check, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm so fucking otherwise like hungry.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, both did. Yeah.
So then the ladies are sat in that seat where I sat?
Yeah.
Then got your number and then finally made his way back.
Don't man, because Mummy can't manage order.
Oh, hey.
Ready? Spinning wheel. Yeah. Very nice.
But you said it was down this
No, Tommy.
Throw it.
I'm throwing it in.
Do you want me to throw it for
Oh, it's your birthday. You don't really want to be camping on your birthday. Should we go out? It's your birthday. Oh,
Renee, he lost hers. He used hers yesterday, and then he was already on the way. He was going to come, but I don't think she knew.
Hey!
No, I didn't.
No, you know what he done?
Spend a load of money. E-bike cafe, bro.
You can wait a few more minutes and then pull it off, okay?
anyway, Chris.
That's 3D printed.
Well, what that'll do is it will gradually wear away. So I got her just to Right, so that's the shoe thing.
Matt, do you want to just go find somewhere to watch it at all?
Yeah, I can see the yellow actually.
Cream was better, but you can't reheat it.
Don't do it, don't do it.
Bubble tea.
I didn't expect you to. 한국에서도 맛있는 거 같아.
Tell you what, like, if you we do need phones for that business.
Dùng như lẩu đi rồi.
come down and walk down that high street thing where we are. There's no football.
How do you think they're getting around it with their staff?
The place we're going is it's fine. It's just like it's what they do, but it's very fun. Something else.
Oh, ring. I don't mind.
How are you?
Coffee sheets.
Remember that?
Oh, it's quirky. They will love it.
One way of that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't need to give you
Should anything is a first. Look, boo, look at it. Your monkey.
I said I didn't know if it was pollen.
No! Stop! Seagulls are coming from here. No, I'm not worried about that.
Oh, they're still coming over the bridge, look.
We need more bacon!
What, let's get some. That's what I had for lunch. What did Jake say anyway? What did Jake say anyway to that lady when they were Did you like the
salad and mushroom?
Why not like a bit? All the dogs weren't.
Okay, now I see.
I ain't paying no prices.
Before you know it.
And so much happens.
Hi, Lily. This is Cornelius.
burger and game bar, eh?
Whereas I went down the steps.
around like that.
Where's your back one? Where's your hook?
When you catch it, what are you using as your bait? What are you using as your bait?
Right work.
Where are you casting?
Literally. Don't cast any further than halfway to